Not the prettiest games for the Toronto Maple Leafs here. Game 15, not so good against the Bruins. Carry it over. Game 16, not so great against the Canes. Weird watching this group. Infuriating watching the group. It seems like there's just a common issue that's taking place, and if you're going to apply it to the offensive side, the defensive side of things, I think no matter what it is in transition, defensively, even when you look at power plays, penalty, all of it, the one main thing that you see that's happening with these guys is lack of attention to detail. And I think that part is what carries over from every single aspect of their game that is just coming back to haunt them all over the ice. No matter what they're doing, no matter who they're playing, it's just constantly coming back to become an issue. And if you have even a slight bit of attention to detail in this game against Carolina tonight, it's a win. Pretty or not, it's a win against the Canes. You're up 4-2 against them. You blow that one 4-4, and then you end up losing 5-4 with, again, sloppy play from your own zone in the third period. And, not going to blame Dennis Hildeby tonight. I don't think that there was many that I would look at him and say, wow, Hildeby had to have had that one, and that one really got away from him. That wasn't good enough, whatever. But there is such a lack of focus from the back end all the way through. And what is frustrating to me, where I'm not willing to buy in to some of the nonsense that I see going on in the chat, where people are saying this team stinks, they suck, they're not making the playoffs, whatever. Like, I'm not going to buy into that, because if you were just have a little bit of attention to detail, last night against Boston, tonight against Carolina, they're both wins. You take your foot off the gas in certain areas, you have these mental lapses where it's just a bad decision, a bad judgment, and next thing you know, it's coming back down the other way, and you're breaking down. You even look at how they defend in transition and off rush chances for Carolina. How often are they just not picking up the right guys, or overcommitting to one guy, not communicating back defensively about who's covering who, when to go and when to apply pressure? Like, those things are all missing, and it's just knowing, and you could see it in their game, that they have enough talent. If they want to, they've got enough compete. They've got enough ability on this roster. They've got enough good players here in this group to be winning these games. But then they just have these moments, these periods, these extended points where it's just like they can't figure it out. They turn it off, they disappear, and all of a sudden you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, having a 4-on-2 and an odd man rush come back the other way. Just handing out gifts to the other team. Very frustrating, knowing that they've got the ability in them, and just have these terrible mental lapses. Look, we'll get into it all here tonight, but reading the chat is like, this is a fucking cesspool of shit that's going on right now in the chat. Unbelievable. I can't, you're watching a group that's not that much different from how they started last season. Obviously a little bit better of a November to start things off, but scorched earth, rebuild, we want Marner, fire Berube, I think maybe you could look at guys like Lalonde. Maybe you could look at Mark Savard, and you could pinpoint some stuff with those guys where you say, yeah, their areas of expertise have been lacking? Now, mind you, we criticize Savard constantly for the power play or the lack thereof with this team. And this power play tonight, and even leading back to last night, probably the best that we've seen them, the most dangerous that we've seen them. Good for him for having something figured out. And, the conversation would be much different. It would be much more in line with, well, this group sucks, this team stinks, they're so far off. If I'm watching last night's game and they're not in it, or watching this game tonight and they're not in it, I look at last night, Nylander, crossbar post, doesn't go in, would have tied the game, you end up losing 5-3. You're right there. This game tonight against Carolina, Nylander misses through an empty net, would have given you the lead. Next thing you know, it's down the other way not too long after, and Carolina wins. You're not just getting blown out from start to finish. You are still in these games that you're losing, aside from the Columbus one. And that is what's so frustrating right now. The defensive zone has been an atrocity for this group. And what I don't understand is how there's such a stark contrast from what happened last year. You got really good goaltending last year, but it never felt like you were giving up so many dangerous chances. It never felt like it was an onslaught of opportunities and shots for the other team, like what we saw out of Carolina here tonight, like what we've seen out of numerous teams to start this season through 16 games here right now. And yet this season, it has just been the most porous defense of all time. You watch these guys attempt to defend anything. The one thing that just constantly drives me nuts with them right now and playing things off the rush and seeing these transition opportunities for the other team is how far back they get pushed. How often are we watching opposing teams come into the offensive zone, drive the Leafs defensemen down low, the forwards aren't collapsing back in and tightening anything up in the defensive zone, passes are going through easily, and you're going from one side of the ice to the other, where it's all of a sudden just so easy for them to be changing the angle, changing the side of the ice that they're attacking from. And Dennis Hildeby, Anthony Stolarz, whoever the goalie is, Caden Primo when he was here, whoever the goalie is who's facing this is having to go from one side to the other to try to make some heroic save that's just not going to happen in some of these situations. You watch, whether it's on the penalty kill, if it's on just 5-on-5, if it's off of a rush, so often it's so easy for guys to A, enter the zone, and B, once they do enter the zone, find soft spots on the ice and in the attacking zone for them that they're just able to capitalize on these. And again, you're seeing a higher level of compete from them. You're seeing the skill on display. You're seeing the big boys take over and step up. You're seeing other guys into the bottom six playing better games, but then it's just like these huge moments happen where it's these massive brain farts where they just shut off, stop thinking, stop computing, and make terrible decisions, misread plays, don't pick up guys in the D zone, stand around, they all look lost, and you're sitting there wondering, what the fuck just happened? How did you get here for that to take place? And then it's extended times. And then you watch them where they will just take it to the other team for 2 to 3 minutes themselves. Not necessarily the case here specifically against Carolina tonight. They did find ways to be effective and dangerous off the rush. A few different times they were able to hold offensive zone time and some pressure, but it wasn't ever crazy like that against Carolina. So, okay, fair enough. That argument can go out the window against the Canes. But you do watch them go out there and they'll be real dangerous. They do the right things. You know, I watched that Auston Matthews goal that he scores. It's a chipped puck into the zone. William Nylander goes down. Like, a lot of people here in the chat want to talk about over and over and over again. Oh, they don't want to play dump and chase. Stop making them. Well, okay, that's fine. Watch the Colorado Avalanche, who just played against the Edmonton Oilers last night. I'm not saying they're a dump and chase kind of team, but they are much more north-south than what we've seen the Maple Leafs play in years past. You're at least trying to get them more into that style. Colorado just ran all over Edmonton last night. They are at least going much more up ice than what we used to see, where it was this east-west loop in hockey. But everybody here in the chat seemed to love that one because at the end of the day, they got to watch their Mitchie highlights and the Leafs led TSN's top 10 in the morning. Like, who the fuck cares? They lost in the first round every year. If that's what you want to do and you want to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and say, we got a lot of points and Mitchie was awesome and Austin was dancing around, then fucking have at it. Then you can go back to losing in the first round every single year. But you're trying to change things because that didn't work. So you're trying to adapt and trying to change the approach to the game. There is just sometimes a buy-in, like that play. Matthews chips the puck in down into the corner. Puck bobbles. Nylander wins the race to it, wins the battle. Matthews comes in and supports. He's in there, helps win the battle. Passes the puck out to Knies, who then hits McCabe. You break them down. McCabe passes to Matthews at the side. Great patience by McCabe. Great pass by him to find Matthews, who scores in the empty net. Like, those moments show you, which makes me believe that they have that ability. They show you that you can do that, and then they capitalize on it. And honestly, people have such short-term memories with some of this stuff. If you want the greatest example of that working, or this style of hockey that Berube wants them to play working, think back to Game 6 against the Panthers in the playoffs last year. Now, I know that is the playoffs last year, and I know that is what we're going to, different team and a different time, whatever. But that is a prime example for me of that worked. It was going toe-to-toe with Florida, playing a heavy style of hockey. You got some of your best players. Auston Matthews scores a big goal in that game. They played a hard forechecking game in that one. They played physical. They played mean. They were great defensively. They got good goaltending, and you send that thing back to Toronto for 7. That game is like the perfect encapsulation, in my opinion, of this formula works. And then you see it different times for a shift or a couple minutes or maybe a period if you get lucky, but it's never for 60. And then when you watch this full 60 just fail to take place like this, yeah, it can be infuriating. And then I see the fire Berube, this doesn't work. Well, who would you want to bring in here? Like, who is the guy that you're going to be bringing in here to be doing things differently? Because the guys that you're looking at who are like the top of the list, they weren't available at the time that you hired the guy. So you want a stopgap guy? You wanted somebody to hold over last year, and then you just throw last year because it's not the right guy? You wanted to keep Keefe last year? Like, what was the opportunity? What was the thing that people wanted to have done here? Because John Cooper wasn't there. Mike Sullivan wasn't there. You know, look around. These high-end coaches that we talked about, they weren't available. Berube's Stanley Cup pedigree. So the people who come here and say that this guy's a Neanderthal and has no idea what he's talking about, he won a Stanley Cup, figured out a way to do that. I don't know. If these guys are not willing to buy in, and I mean, honestly, at this point, it seems like they are buying in more. It's just whether or not it's there for a full 60. And then on top of that, their ability to stay focused during a game. A lot of these defensive lapses and stuff come from them losing focus. Now, mind you, I will say, Philippe Myers, not good. He was really bad here tonight, especially. Bad last night against Boston. Dakota Mermis, when he jumped in, bad, cannot play. Like, you look at some of those guys, yeah, they can't play. Morgan Rielly, not been good. Brandon Carlo, not been good. You are missing Chris Tanev right now, which maybe changes things around, but your defense has not been very good to start this season. My pushback on this, where it's just like, what do you want to happen, is they were here last year. This group of players played together in the playoffs last year when people raved and ranted about how good they were defensively. It's the same guys. Now, yeah, maybe Jake McCabe took a step back. Maybe Ekman Larsson hasn't been as good as he was last year, and Benoit hasn't been as good. But the one thing that I can look at definitively and say something has changed here is assistant coaches have rolled over. Lane Lambert is off in Seattle. He's joined the Kraken. He's their head coach. He was the guy that we kept singing his praises when it came to special teams, specifically the penalty kill, that is, and then the defensive structure on that side of the puck. They've been terrible defensively this year. And I think if that tightens up, again, we're just looking at this team differently to this point through 16 games. We're seeing a different record. You're watching Nylander. Matthews is looking more like himself. Matthew Knies has been contributing. John Tavares continues to be putting up offensive points. But you watch breakout, transition, and defensive zone. It is bad decision after bad decision, giveaway after giveaway after giveaway. I know that's part of being a bad hockey team, but I just refuse to believe this team is just bad. They brought back most of the same team. They upgraded the bottom six. And to come here and complain about Max Domi is the problem of this group, give your heads a shake. Max Domi is playing 8.5 minutes tonight. Sammy Blais is playing 7.5 minutes. If that's the guy you're fucking pinpointing here and being like, Max Domi is the problem, you're just complaining to complain. There are some very simple, easy things this team can continue to do over the next stretch to clean things up that makes them look entirely different. I refuse to believe this is just a bad hockey team. How do you go from what you were last year, losing one guy who is very clearly a problem, to being to this point where we're giving up on the group? Like, how could it possibly change that fast? They're effectively the same group. They just don't make these mistakes last year. They were much more committed defensively. They were much tighter in their defensive zone. They were much better on the penalty kill. This has seemed like a group that, A, took a long time to warm up to the beginning of the season and get into this. And B, is struggling to find an identity right now that they can stick to. And I feel like maybe that part of it is just causing all these mistakes all over the ice. And I don't see, honestly, this whole narrative that Berube is making Matthews and Nylander and Knies play less creative and less skilled. What is it that is making people believe that that's reality right now? Like, is that just some made-up narrative in people's heads right now so that they can feel better about the way things are going down and they can have somebody to blame? Like, Tavares, Nylander, up near the league lead in goals and production, points, assists. Like, they're not at the top. I'll give you that. They're not at the top, but it's not like these guys are being held back. John Tavares, 15th in the NHL. William Nylander, 7th in the NHL in terms of points. Oh, not 15th. Tied with a few other guys. That's why that's numbers comes up. Matthew Knies in the top. Oh, and by the way, Knies, Tavares, Nylander, more points than Mitch Marner. It's a lazy narrative. It's a lazy take. As a whole, they are not tight enough defensively. They make very, very bad decisions at the puck. They do not protect the puck very well. And until these things change, I mean, we're just going to continue to watch this group have to kind of try again to outscore their issues, which is not who they are. That's not the identity that they have. Like, 2 years ago, under Sheldon Keefe and through most of the Keefe tenure, they were playing this run and gun style of hockey where on any given night they could try or would just try to just outscore their problems. Oh, we'll win 5-4, 6-4, 6-5, 7-5. Didn't matter. We'll just score as many goals as we want. That's great. That never works in the playoffs, and it never will work in the playoffs. I don't care how much fun you had watching the games. It's more fun to win Stanley Cups and have success in the playoffs. I'm sure Florida Panthers fans aren't sitting there obsessed with the way the team plays during the regular season and saying this is the best, most entertaining hockey of all time. But then they win and they go on into the playoffs and they win Stanley Cups. I'm sure that's pretty entertaining. If you're going to go the other way, you need to be able to at least try to find some middle ground for this group where maybe it's not grinded out and win 2-1 every night, but you can't be fucking atrocious defensively and give up these prime opportunities the way that you are, and then with less skill than you've had before, that's one of the main issues, say we're going to outscore our problems. You don't have as much skill as you had before. You just don't. So you can't rely on that anymore. You have to play the team style of game that is going to commit to blocking shots, playing physical, being hard on the forecheck, wearing other teams down, that they just won't do. For a full 60, that is. All right, we got some more stuff to get to here. I do see a super chat there in the chat. Other notes, obviously tonight's show, as always, is a presentation of Bet365. If you do enjoy the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. For those wondering, as always, every set of 50 likes, we do the smelling salts here on the post-game show. Also, I'm just going to set up and give a link into the chat so that people can call into the show, give their thoughts. There's a lot of people who seem upset and frustrated with the team, or me here tonight, because they just, for whatever reason or another, want to be upset at the world right now. But if that's the case, call into the show. Let's talk about it, rather than just sending over and over and over and over and over and over again into the chat how much you hate this team and yet you still want to watch, and then come here after to complain about it and saying you hate this team and it's over without actually having any kind of conversation about it. Call into the show. The link will be sent there in a minute. But before we can get to that, there's 2 super chats that I want to acknowledge. First super chat. As well, proceeds from our super chat do go to Sick Kids Charity. You want to get your question or your comment read on the show. Any and all of them that you guys send, I will read here on the postgame show. I will answer them as well. So make sure to get your super chats in. The first one comes in from Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg says, Berube might just be a terrible coach. He's getting the bare minimum out of his roster. They look their best when his crappy system gets ignored. All right, it's crappy to you. I mean, what is it about the system, honestly, that is like crappy to people? Oh, playing physical and playing defense? Fuck that shit. Let's fucking lose in the first round and run around and score 7 goals until you get to the playoffs and then lose 2-1 because you can't score because the game's tighter and you get your shit kicked because you're getting bullied because you don't play physical. That was a lot of fun every single year. Loved that. Let's go back there. What the fuck are we talking about? Maybe Berube's style isn't perfect, but guess the fuck what? Paul Maurice, John Cooper, Mike Sullivan, fucking John Tortorella, whoever it is that you want to bring in here next, that everybody, ooh, that's the guy, he's the one who's going to save this fucking team, is going to be the same shit. He's going to demand the same shit out of you. I know that watching Edmonton and they have a little bit more offense to them, especially considering what McDavid and Draisaitl and like Evan Bouchard can do. It looks a little bit more offensive. I guarantee you that Chris Knoblauch is asking the same things out of him. Oh, no, fuck that. Fuck that. We could never fucking do that. This is a shitty system. Let's go back to what we were doing, because that worked so fucking well. Like, in what world can we continue to watch what happened for 9 or 8 fucking years previously and say that was better than this? It never worked. And it's like people have these ideas because for 82 games, it was fun and exciting and they were one of the top in the division. And then when they went to the playoffs, it was like, you don't have a fucking chance. And you got your shit rocked. And you got eliminated in the first round. The same way every single year. This is not fun right now. There is growing pains. They are learning and adapting and figuring this out. And yeah, maybe they're still missing a piece. Maybe Berube's not the guy. But I just don't understand this. Like, we can't play this style. We need to play offensively. Because, yeah, that was real fucking successful before. They were really good when that happened. Went really far in the playoffs. The guy that's going to come in here and put this team over the top, whoever it is going to ask them to do at least the same things or require the same things. Maybe it's a slightly different system, to which I would more so point at the defensive guys that are here. Last year, really good defensively. Changed coaches. This year, not. But they're going to be asked to do the same things. They're just going to be asked to do the same things. So I think it's just lazy. It's lazy. Unreal. Another super chat here. Maxentius Decimus. As well. You want to call into the show. You want to give your thoughts and let me know why you disagree with me. You can click the link that is being sent in the chat here right now. You click the link and you can call in because I want to know, because people are just all over the place. There are people who have completely given up on this teams. There are people on this team. There are people here who are like, it's okay. There's mistakes. We'll figure it out. There's people who are loving what they're seeing. Like, it is fucking all over the place right now in this chat. But just sending this here again for people. You want to take a look at this one. You want to call into the show. Messages pinned. Super chat here from Maxentius Decimus. Do you think Joshua and Waugh can run a third line? I think Nick Waugh can. I've liked what I've seen out of Nick Waugh. I liked what I saw out of Dakota Joshua over the past couple of games. Again, blips from them or their line, but just in general, I feel like they've been much more noticeable. Tonight, not so much. I don't think tonight was their best night. There was a few different times where I was watching them going, holy fuck, these guys are getting their shit run around a little bit. But there was also a few times from that line where they would go on the ice and put some pressure on the Canes down below the goal line and at least win battles and forecheck hard. And then all of a sudden, maybe you wear them down a little bit and you can get your first and your second lines to come out after them, and then they can continue to chip away. Like, that's what you do. You wear teams down and break them down. I think that they've done that a little bit better over the last little while. Not that great tonight. Don't think that was the best, or this is the best example for these guys to say, hey, yeah, they were really good. But I do think that they will be good pieces for this group. I do think that they can work. Again, link is pinned in the chat there. You want to call into the show tonight, click on that link that I sent in. I did see someone jumped in, and then it looks like maybe it might not have worked, so just sorting that out. But there you go. Yeah, we'll take some callers here on the show tonight. I want to know what people think, because it seems kind of all over the place right now. But let's welcome in here to the show, I believe for the first time ever, David. David, you got me there? Do I have David on the line? All right, hold on. We'll work on getting some audio for David. It looks like there's no audio that's coming in right now, but as David sorts that out, maybe we can, unless that's on my headphones, but we'll see. As David sorts out the audio, we'll see if we can get him on here. David, do I got you?
Is that better?
Yep, there we go. Got it now.
Perfect. Hey, Zach, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm a big Leafs fan. I'm Canadian, but I've lived in Australia for the past 18 years. So I've been, watching this team from afar. And I got to say, the people commenting on the coach and all this other stuff, guys, let's get real here. We've been through 2 team presidents, 3 general managers, 3 head coaches, and at least a dozen assistant coaches. Look to the ice. Look to the product. I feel like this is a very talented team, and they know how talented they are, and so they go, our talent is enough. We don't have to try. And then they get to a point in the game where they go, oh, crap, we're down by 2 goals. We actually have to try, and they kick it into high gear, make us think that they're going to accomplish something, and then it's just not enough because it's a really good league.
David, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to hear somebody else thinking this right now, because I feel like this is what I've been saying over the past little while, and then I'm reading the chat and I'm being told how stupid I am by people in the chat and how incorrect. So to hear somebody else saying this right now, I'm glad to have that, just so you're prepared. You're probably going to get some stink back from the chat themselves because they're not going to like this, but
that's fine.
Again, I'm with you here, David. I related this to, they have had, and you just kind of outlined it this way as well, so we're on the same page, but they have had enough talent in years past to win on talent alone. I'm stealing this from Herb Brooks, where he says that you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. They don't anymore. You lost the guy who put up 102 points last year. Again, you still probably need another top 6 forward. I'm not going to disagree with that, and that's kind of where I get frustrated with people in the chat. Like, Brad Treliving did not go into this summer and be like, we're going to lose Mitch Marner, and the solution to this is Maccelli, Waugh, and Joshua. Like, people, I think, in my opinion, confuse how that all happened and try to kind of go 1-to-1 and make a direct correlation. I disagree with that. He originally tried to trade for Mikko Rantanen, and Mitch Marner turned that down. So it's very clear that he is still looking to add some big piece to this. He's calling every single day, every GM around there, and trying to make additions. But anyways, for the time being, you don't have that guy. They've always been able to win on talent. We have enough talent. You don't anymore. So what do you need to do in the meantime? You need to learn to play a team style of game. And, one of the biggest things that I will point to and say, and it's easy enough because you played them here tonight, who on Carolina is more talented than Auston Matthews or William Nylander?
Exactly.
Right.
If I can, Zach, sorry, I don't think they had the talent to do it. I don't think they had the talent to do it with Mitch Marner. What did they accomplish with Marner? And you
I mean in the regular season.
Okay, that's great. Regular season aside, but let's look at the series against Florida last year. They in 5, they get murdered on home ice. Game 6, they come out and play the most complete game of hockey that team has ever played. Shut them out 2-0 in their barn. They have it. They can do it. They just don't seem to want to when it matters. You can't tell me that they went from getting murdered to putting together the most complete game of hockey I've ever seen that team played to getting murdered in Game 7. It's all between the ears because they think they just can show up, dance around because they're talented, and that should be enough. And I'm sorry, it's not. It's the NHL. Even the really bad teams are really good. And as soon as they realize that, as soon as they put together, I think I've said it before in your chat. The Auston Matthews quote back a couple years ago, we'll show up when it matters. Every game matters. It's the NHL. Every game should matter. And until they get that through their heads, this is what we're going to contend with. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. Okay, so let's go with this right now. Let's say we're looking at this team. What is your main takeaway from what these guys have to do right now to turn this around? Or is this something they can turn around? Because, also, like, this is where I'm kind of just like, I'm not in a full-blown panic yet here because you want to look at what the NHL standings currently look like. You pull up a wild card, okay? The Leafs are 1 point back of the Red Wings, the Flyers, and the Lightning, who all have 18. And then the Ottawa Senators have 19. The Bruins have 20. You look on the Metro side of things, the Penguins have 21. The Devils have 22. The Canes have 22. Like, they are anywhere from maximum 5 points behind somebody to 1 point behind somebody. And then, yes, obviously you look down on the other side, the Islanders through to the Buffalo Sabres. There's a difference between 1 to 2 to 3 points all the way down. But, like, you're not watching the Montreal Canadiens, who we continue to hear about, and kudos to them for the start they've had, but you're not looking at Montreal and being like, holy fuck, like, they're gone. There's no catching them 16 games in. They're right. To me, like, I look at it and I say, they're right there, David. Where is this a lost season for this team? Are they missing the playoffs? Is this something they can salvage? Do you think they've got it in them? Like, what's your evaluation of this group right now through 16 and kind of just projecting out what they could be for the rest of the year?
This is going to be unfair, and I know that. Yeah, I've got two parts of me. Yes, part of me is like, it's early in the season, they can turn it around. The other part of me is like, we've had 9 years, 10 years of the exact same bullshit. You're right. They need a top 6 forward. They need a number 1 pucks moving defenseman. Ekman-Larsson's had a really good season, I think, so far. He's warts on his game, but that's always been Ekman-Larsson, right? Always been his game.
Yep.
I don't think the team has the mentality needed to go on a deep playoff run. The way it's constructed, like, okay, this is going to be all doom and gloom, and I'm going to apologize. I'm of the opinion you got to blow it up. We've seen this mix minus Mitch Marner for 10 years, man. The window, they've shot all their bullets. What are you going to do to improve this team? You've got no first-round picks. You got no high-end elite prospects to make moves. You've got David Kampf, who's left the team because he's disgruntled playing in the Marlies. You've got Yarn Croak. You've shot all your bullets, man. You've got nothing left in the chamber. So what do? You've got to make a substantial move to trade one of those high-end guys, a Morgan Riley. Who are you thinking from the forward group? A Max Domi, and I'm not putting this at Max Domi's feet, don't get me wrong, but you need to move out a substantial piece to get a substantial piece back because the mix doesn't work. 10 years, the mix doesn't work.
I mean, it's tough to hear that said, obviously. I mean, there's no way around that. Hearing you say that, it just kind of stinks. But
I'm sorry.
I know, I get it. That's all there is for, like, you think that's it, that they've just all got to go.
I don't think they've all got to go, but it's clear that the mix doesn't work. I think you've got too many guys trying to be the Matthews and the Nylander, and I think you got not enough guys playing their role, and the guys trying to play their role aren't getting drawn into the fight. So, I've seen that post-game thing where Matthews was saying, this is the team we are, we're tenacious, we work hard, and that lasted a game?
Yeah, one game, yeah. The Wednesday against Utah, and that was it. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, great. So you beat a Utah team that's not projected to do anything. Fantastic. What now?
Yeah.
Now you've got the Bruins, who have had a tough year last year, but they're still the Bruins, And you've got a really hungry Carolina team that's on the cusp of going further than they ever have because they've kept stopped short every year, so they want it. Where the Leafs just don't seem to. How do you blow a 2-goal lead in the third period?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think blowing it up is the answer, personally. I get
fair.
the frustration, and I get where you're at. I don't think so. I think part of it is it's so hard to come by the talent that you have with these guys. When you look at the Matthews, the Nylander, the Knies, those kinds of guys, looking around, sure, there's other pieces here that you could probably say we don't need that anymore. Maybe that's a guy that's somebody you could dump off. Maybe it's, looking at Lorentz and Blaze and Domi, and then maybe even scooting up the lineup a little bit more. It's McMahon's, Robertson's, whoever else that you want to point out from that way. But I don't know. I just look at Matthews. I look at William Nylander, I think, and, John Tavares. These are guys who are going to have franchise records here with the team. Some of them are also locked up for a little bit here now. Like, you've got them under control. You've got these amazing players, and we did see them get to the second round, Game 7 of last year. Maybe the construction around it is not there, but I would much rather approach it in the way of you got to go out and you got to acquire that piece to go around them and give that a shot. And then if it doesn't work, then sure. Then that's when it's time to say, fuck it. We're out of here.
So you think this is their last bullet?
Well, I think you've got at least like a year or 2 years left of this, because Matthews only has a couple of years left on this contract anyways, and then you could figure out where the hell you're at after that. But to say blowing it up right now, I think is just not the answer for me. I think it's too early to do that, and the pushback that I have, and where I would say on this as well, to remind people when we say, hey, they don't have the assets, whatever, you go in and you try to make these trades with whatever it is that you've got. And reality is, if you're going to be blowing it up anyways because this doesn't work, this is where I'm this is the way I'm approaching it, is that if you are watching this team and saying it doesn't work, if you at least try and maybe you trade some of the prospects or picks that you have, I know they're few and far between, but you trade the pieces that you have to attempt to improve this roster, and then they fall short, you're looking at starting over again anyways. So I get it, and it sucks, but then you take the pieces you have, Nylanders, Matthews, whoever the hell else you want to talk about in that group that you could get assets back for, and then that's when you go for it. So, again, for me, not in a position right now, I don't think, to be blowing it up, or I just would rather not. I get where you're coming from and where people are at, but it's just like, you got to take your chance right now while you have these guys under control. What's that?
Haven't we been doing this already? Haven't we already been changing out the supporting casts? Haven't we already been firing first-round picks into the sun, trying to get this team over the hump? It's the core. It's the core around it that isn't working, not the supporting casts. You can put all the Domis, Sammy Blaze in there you want. If the core isn't enough to bring it when it matters, it doesn't matter. Like, we've been spending 10 years firing first-round picks into the sun and changing out our bottom six. It's
okay, so the counterpoint for myself would be that I think that what you did in years past was try to replace the guys in the bottom six with equivalent type players and then hoped that they would perform better. I believe this year specifically that the pieces you brought into the bottom six to change this are better pieces. It may prove to be wrong, but I'm of the belief that they are better pieces. I think you improve the bottom six with that one piece that was moved out, and where I will hold hope, which, again, maybe it's a stupid Leafs fan thing to do here, David, but where I will hold hope on this is that the piece that you get, that Tree Living is trying to get, let's put it that way. The piece that Tree Living is trying to get is going to be a good top six piece who helps your top six in ways that Bobby McMann, Nic Robertson can't, and hopefully brings a different element to this game than what you had from Mitch Marner, William Nylander, in years past, or Auston Matthews in terms of what they bring in the playoffs. So hopefully it's another guy in the top 6 who's more consistent than the guys you have there right now in Robertson and McMann, and more intense than what you have in William Nylander, Auston Matthews, John Tavares. Because if you add that into the mix, I think you're looking at a very differently shaped and different outlook of a team than what you have in the past. Again, may be wrong, David. And
no, that's fair enough.
At that point,
so would you say that
you're completely right, and I do understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I just view this a little bit differently.
Yep. So would you say that this Matthews contract is the window then?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, probably.
We've got 2 years.
Yeah, I would say. I know chat can't see that. David has fingers crossed. Yes.
Zach, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you having me on. I'll let you get to your other callers, and thank you so much. Love the show.
Yeah, thank you for calling in here, David. I really appreciate it and hope to hear from you again soon. Thank you for calling in from Australia, man. That's awesome.
Cheers.
There you go. There's David on the line. Appreciate that. Call in from Australia. If anybody else wants to call in, you're more than welcome to. Again, make sure to keep hitting that like button. But, yeah, I mean, again, just to kind of reiterate the points, you have these guys here. So I don't understand why people want to give up on them. And what we saw them do last year, I don't think that they were terrible. I think that they can continue to build on what there was last year, and hopefully there's a recognition in the room that playing that kind of way can get you closer. I still think Tree Living's not done. I hope not. I know we question the assets and what there is to acquire, but I hope he's not done. I mean, I think this guy is still probably looking around, trying to replace defense, trying to get better on that back end. He tried in the summer. He looked at that. I mean, you look at what he's supposedly calling every single day about trading guys that are in your bottom 6 right now, maybe looking to see if you can add guys to the top. Like, he's trying to improve and evolve this team. I don't think that they think that this is the end, or this is what they are. So yeah, I mean, I'm holding out hope that this can at least improve. Again, links in the chat if anybody wants to call in and give their thoughts. There's a lot of people who are not happy right now. We did hit 50 likes on the stream, 300 people watching here right now, but with the 50 likes on the stream, that would mean smelling salts here on the show. So thank you for liking the stream, for watching, subscribing. If you haven't yet, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube as well. If you want to listen on podcasting platforms, you can find us on Leafs Nation After Dark on all podcasting platforms. Anywhere you get your podcast, that is where you can listen as well. Turning on auto downloads, going out there, subscribing, all that stuff, it does help my show. So auto download, subscribe, all of it. I appreciate that. Here are the smelling salts. Brand new bottle. All right, that's good enough. Okay, keep liking the stream. Oh, as well, proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity, so make sure to get those super chats in. All right, a couple more things that I want to get to that are some of our segments for today. Let's get to our Crave the Stats. We'll run down the box score here, see just kind of how some of these individual guys performed in this one here tonight. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, Bogo Brisket Hat-Trick, Kibo Sushi, Bogo California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, Bogo Traditional Wrap, Bogo Buy One, Get One before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. So let's take a look here at what our stats of the night are. Just jumping on over to the page with that. There we go. Okay. Stats for today in this one. Let's focus on some individual stats before we move on over to power play, special teams, all that kind of stuff, because I do have some thoughts on the power play, but just, generics here first and foremost. So thanks to the ESPN box score for this one. Taking a look at the Maple Leafs. First of all, Dennis Hildeby, .894 save percentage in this one. 47 shots against. He allows 5 goals on that, makes 42 saves. I don't think Dennis Hildeby was terrible tonight. I don't think he's the reason they lost this one. I'm for sure there's a couple that Hildeby might look at, or a couple moments in this one you might look at and say want it to be better, but he faced a lot of breakaways, he faced a lot of odd man rushes, so I don't blame him for this one. I think defensively it was a bit of a nightmare for this group, and just gross breakdowns and bad plays and stuff all over the ice. Couple guys with some tough nights here in this one. William Nylander finishes a -2, Matthew Knies -2, Domi a -1, Auston Matthews a -1. Look, William Nylander was involved in pretty much everything tonight. He has 2 goals. He misses an empty net that would have put them up in this one. 3 shots on goal, 2 penalties. Like, he had his fingerprints all over this game. Plays 21 minutes and 19 seconds of time on ice, which is just behind Auston Matthews. Like, that's the only guy on forward who beat him in this one. You look defensively, it's Jake McCabe with 23 minutes and 22 seconds of ice time. I mean, Nylander, I think, pretty much did almost as much as he could have done here. You look through this one, though, and again, he's a culprit of it. Like, that's where people want to say, well, it's Dakota Joshua and Max Domi's fault because they had this giveaway here in this moment, or they made this wrong play. Like, so was William Nylander. He was turning the puck over a million times here tonight. It's just, there's stuff you give and you take with these guys. He scores 2. He's got the one that he just misses, but again, you look at a guy like that, you want him buying in more and understanding, hey, I can't be so lackadaisical with the puck. I can't be making some of these mistakes. And he admitted to that in the media the other day when he was talking about this team's start to the season and where they're at and what some of the problems are and how they fix it. He brought up himself that he needs to be better in terms of decision-making and protecting the puck. And I watch him out there tonight. It's like he's very, very, very effective offensively. I thought he played pretty great. And then he makes some terrible plays. And I think that door that gets opened up when he makes some of those bad decisions or bad plays or bad turnovers and there's no repercussions for some of these things, maybe at that point it can kind of trickle through the rest of the lineup where guys are like, well, he's not being held accountable. And then that buy-in's just not there. Brandon Carlo actually finishes +1 tonight. I don't think he had his best game, but I don't think he was terrible by any means. Simone Benoit, Philippe Myers. Philippe Myers, look, ultimately, I know that you're battling through right now and you're trying to kind of get by until Chris Tanev can return to this lineup. You might need to start looking for somebody else on the trade market, somebody in the waiver market. I don't fucking know where it is or who it is, but you might want to go and try to find that guy and see if there's anybody else that you could bring in here to make some type of difference for this group, because Philippe Myers playing and being the guy who's being relied upon as your 7th defenseman and having to play these minutes, it was tough. Like, he's getting exposed out there. He only played 15, but it was a rough 15 for Philippe Myers. The other guy that you look at, B, on the other side of it, if you're not going to go to a current NHL player, is maybe looking to see what you have in the Marlies. A lot of people make a lot about this Matthew, what's his name? Villeneuve. William Villeneuve with the Marlies. He's a puck-moving defenseman. He can skate well. Maybe he's a guy that can kind of jump in and help this team. And you watch how many guys there are here that maybe struggle to advance the puck, or as we've talked about throughout this entire postgame, especially in this game against Carolina tonight, really, really, really struggled with protecting the puck and being careful and, making sure that you maintain possession. Maybe it's Thrun. Maybe he's the guy you bring up. But maybe you look internally, and maybe that guy's here already, and it's just some kid you got to give an opportunity to. But I think that it's time to maybe give up on the Myers experiment. Benoit, I'm going to put out there. I don't think he's very good right now, but the only thing that I'll give to him is I think that when you look at Benoit, he needs some assistance, and Philippe Myers or some rotation of defensemen going through his other side, I don't think is the way to do it. I don't think that's the way to insulate that guy. I think he can be a helpful piece to you, like we saw in Ottawa last year or in the Ottawa series. I don't think he was bad against Florida. I don't think he was great, but I don't think he was bad. But then you just watch, and it's like all of a sudden he's playing with Philippe Myers, and you look at both of those guys. I think that either one of them could end up back in the AHL at some point very soon, or should be playing there together right now. It's just not a combination of guys that you want to be relying upon to play. As you can see on your screen right there, 17:56 for Benoit and 15 minutes for Philippe Myers. Now, note in this one, some of the guys probably get stretched out a little bit more because Ekman-Larsson did leave in the first period, took a shot to the inside of the knee, didn't return back until the second. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, changing these guys, I think, is not the... having these guys here, I just don't think is the ideal setup right now. Maybe it's time to look for somebody else. I don't know. Again, you acquired Thrun. You have Villeneuve. Maybe you got to give one of them a shot. Maybe you got to let them try. Who else here on this one? Morgan Rielly, -1 on the night, 20 minutes and 31 seconds. He's been a really confusing case this year. Generating offensively, defensive zone, whether it's off a rush, if it's just 5-on-5, if it's just set up, however it is defensively, it's almost felt worse than it's been in previous years, which somehow just doesn't even make sense. I think part of it is it's just standing out more. But, you look at the offensive production for this team, the underlying numbers, they scream positive things about Morgan Rielly's offensive abilities. Defensively, it's atrocious. And he doesn't have a guy right now who supports him the way that Luke Shen, Ron Hainsey, I don't even know who else it was that has come in here and helped him. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle to watch him in the defensive zone. Offensively, though, moves a puck well, gets up the ice, contributing there. If he was a guy that we looked at as our third defenseman, fourth defenseman, if he wasn't the highest paid guy you had on the back end, we probably don't say as much about Morgan Rielly as what we already have going on in the chat right now, because I'm watching all these people just losing their shit about him. I see a lot of comments about how he's good, how he's not good offensively. Guys, there are literal metrics that will prove the advanced analytics on this guy of offensive chances when he's on the ice, what he does, expected goals when he's on the ice, expected goal share when he's on the ice. He is at least a positive part of the offense. Not perfect, but a positive impact on the offense. Defensively, again, agree with you, terrible. Offensively, it's there. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the chances that are created by the team when he's on the ice, not his individual chances, which I know people are looking at his specific stats and saying, well, what about on the power play? Well, yeah, he's not good on the power play. I'll agree with you there. I don't want him as quarterback one of the power play. All right, what else do we got for this one? Let's get to our best bet segment. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Thank you to our friends at Bet365 for being a part of this one here yet again this season. Again, greatly appreciate Bet365. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION. That's NATION. Code NATION. NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Best bet tonight. Bobby McMann over 1.5 shots on goal. Bobby McMann, 0 shots on goal. It was plus 115. Took a little swing on that one. You lose a half unit there. Does bring our total on this season right now to a positive $180 profit. 1.8 units we are up right now, but Bobby McMann over 1.5 shots on goal does not cash for us. That brings our record this season to 9-14 as well. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there about that one. He had a great play to John Tavares, the pass across, great patience that he showed. Outside of that, offensively, not the best. So that Bobby McMann one does not fall for us, and that is a half unit loss on this one tonight. All right, what else we got? Let's go to our play of the game. Play of the game. You guys send your play of the game in the chat. I want to know what you're thinking about in this one. I think my play of the game is going to be that John Tavares goal. You talk about patience, you talk about waiting, and making the right play instead of forcing a shot or forcing a play. John Tavares gets up the ice in transition. However slow it was, he got up the ice in transition, tries to go one-on-one, just kind of loses it to the outside as he corrals it, fires that thing towards the net. It's Nic Robertson going hard to the net who fires off the rebound. It generates a rebound of its own, and then Bobby McMann coming in to clean things up. Instead of just ripping a backhand and firing off the shot, he grabs it, holds on for a second, and then finds John Tavares backdoor. There's another one that I'm going to talk about in a second, but that's my play of the game just because you're looking at guys who maybe not having the highest hockey IQ or the greatest skill ability. Maybe they do have the higher hockey IQ, but then maybe not the greatest skill to pull that off or patience to pull that off. And maybe traditionally you look at them and think they're the ones who are going to be able to fire or are just going to jump into that situation and just fire away. You watch them go like a guy like Bobby McMann, hold on to the puck, make a great pass across. I'll give him credit. And watching them just battle until the end of that shift, and it capitalizes in it's a positive, rewarding sign. The one I wanted to talk about as well, again, with playing the right way and it rewarding you, is the Auston Matthews goal that he scores where the puck gets dumped into the Carolina zone. It's William Nylander winning the race on the forecheck, which a lot of people here in the chat want to talk about. You can't forecheck and you do that with these guys. Well, then they prove to you that they can. That puck goes in deep. Nylander wins the race. He gets the puck back. And it's him and Matthews winning a battle down low. Matthews makes a great pass to Knies, who then makes the no-look between the legs pass to Jake McCabe, who, instead of ripping it right away, holds on for a second and finds Auston Matthews down at the side of the net for effectively just an empty net for him to bury into. Like, great play, great result, and executing the right way off of winning a forecheck, winning a race, and then winning a battle, and exposing the other team defensively as you are doing the right things. That's the kind of stuff that can wear you down in the playoffs. And again, where like I have a disconnect with some of the people in the chat in terms of how bad things are is you watch those plays and then you talk about the breakdowns, and if you eliminate those, you eliminate these stupid mental mistakes, that's a win tonight. It's a win last night against Boston. You don't experience the first 40 like you did against Pittsburgh. Like, these things are eliminated and you gather more points. You're winning more games, and these are not questions. You know, Craig Berube here after the game and seeing what David Alter's putting out, some of the quotes, pretty much the season is we don't value the defensive side of the puck enough. Bang on. Berube also saying his take on the game tonight. John Tavares described the team a bit immature right now. Craig Berube's take on the game tonight could be immaturity, not a willingness to make the easy play. Turnover after turnover cost us the game tonight. You know, we didn't check anybody tonight. We didn't win any battles tonight. It's 2 games in a row. He's bang on. He's 100% right. You're making silly plays, bad decisions, not committing to get the puck out of your zone, forcing passes, and then it's turnover after turnover. You're sending the other team on odd man rushes. You can't break the puck out of the zone cleanly, and Carolina's just taking advantage of those opportunities, much like Boston did to you last night as well. You got to get these out of your game. You have to get rid of this stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to beat you up all year long, and you're going to have to fight that much harder for every single point. Can't have that. Yeah, this is it's a frustrating loss, and you just look at this group and think, if you just commit defensively more and pay more attention to detail, you're winning games. Look, here's one thing I'm going to say. I'm glad that we're seeing players come out after the game and say what we think. Because previously we would have heard, well, we played well, it just didn't bounce our way. And then people get mad at said player. These are some of the quotes from some of the guys. John Tavares. Our game, for whatever reason, becomes really immature, and we don't manage the game very well. We gain some traction, and then we shoot ourselves in the foot. Correct. William Nylander. We've been playing good and bad at certain points. We just got to sharpen those things up, and I think we'll be good. So not really worried. I mean, we can score, so without the puck, we just got to be better. They can confirm score. That's the one thing that's been kind of interesting where, like, again, makes me want to put my head through the wall in confusion is the conversation all summer was lost offense, lost offense, lost offense. They're 5th in the league. They're top 5 in the league in goals for. They are one of the worst goals against teams in the NHL. And those are just obviously very blatant, in-your-face numbers. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's how many goals they've given up versus how many goals they've scored. I get that. Some of that is a little bit redundant and like whoop-de-doo, Zach. You looked at the standings and saw how many goals for and against they have. But they are able to score. They cannot keep the puck out of their net. And if they paid better attention to detail and played better defensively, we are not having these conversations. All everybody talks about is how the Montreal Canadiens score at will. The Montreal Canadiens have 2 less goals than the Leafs. And it's not a knock on the Montreal Canadiens. My point is they can score goals. The Montreal Canadiens have just given up 13 less goals than the Maple Leafs have. Some of that is defense. Some of that is goaltending. Some of it, sure, it's bad luck. But holy fuck, this needs to be cleaned up. That's unacceptable. 2 losses in a row here now. You're 5-5 in your last 10. And it's just like, the reason that I'm not with people completely in terms of like, well, this team stinks, it's over, blow it up, is they've got the ability. It's just whether or not they want to. And I don't get that. Let's get out of here with our final thing of the night. Grade of the game. I want to know what everybody else wants to, what everybody else's grade is in this one. I think my grade is going to be a D+. I don't think Hildeby was bad. He didn't help them. Your star players score, also frustrating. Nylander 2, Matthews goal and assist, Knies 2 assists, John Tavares goal and assist, 5 shots on goal for JT, 4 shots on goal for Matthews. Nic Robertson assist, Bobby McMann assist. No production from really your bottom 6 at all tonight. Jake McCabe, Morgan Riley both get assists in this one. You only got 20 shots on goal on Brendan Bussey. You scored 4. He had an 800 save percentage. You let Dennis Hildeby face 47 fucking shots. High danger shots. What the fuck are you doing? Terrible defensive plays, terrible in transition. Careless mistakes with the puck from everybody. Not just the new guys, it's old guys, it's veteran guys. I don't know. I mean, don't know how it's just this stark of a contrast from some games to some periods. They gotta start to piece this together, because you could see that it's there. It's just not. It's not a full 60. It's never consistent. That's the problem. Power play tonight goes 1 for 3. I thought the power play looked a lot better, so I'll give him the credit in this one. Them the credit in this one for at least looking more dangerous. Way better at entering the zone. Way better at getting through the neutral zone, getting into the offensive zone, and then keeping the puck in the offensive zone. Just a quick side note here. There are people in the chat right now going fucking on and on and on and on. I don't know if you've never fucking watched a hockey game before, or if you've never played or if you just are here to be a complete and utter fucking moron. But what world does there have to be a distinction where you can either only play dump and chase or you could only shoot the puck? You're either a fucking moron or just doing it to be a dickhead in the chat right now. Just copy-pasting the same message. I mean, if you win battles, win races, you maintain pressure in the offensive zone, you can generate more offense and get more shots on goal. And oh, by the way, it prevents the other team from having the puck and getting shots on your goaltender. That's how it works if you have the puck. Dump and chase works if you get the puck back. And also, I don't necessarily think it's just a dump and chase. You're trying to play more north-south. We watched this team dipsy-doodle around the ice for years, and it never works. So dump and chase does not eliminate the ability to get shots on goal. You can get shots on goal and win games and outpossess teams by doing that. But you have to get the puck back. You can see that they will do it and commit to it sometimes, i.e. the Matthews goal. And you can see sometimes they won't do it and they will just take a shift off. Again, focus. Having focus. Sticking through a game plan. Being consistent. They have to buy into that. They have to execute it. Otherwise, sure. Go back to playing East-West. Be All-Stars. And lose in the first round. If that's what you'd rather, then go for it. They've shown that they have the ability. The game against Pittsburgh, the third period, dominated that way. The game against Utah, for the most part, they played pretty well and executed pretty well on it. Won the game. Get away from it against Boston, make bad mistakes, bad decisions, lose. Same thing with here tonight against Carolina. Lose. I don't know. There's just it's a lack of focus for the group, and as Tavares and Nylander and Berube put it, immaturity. Maybe that's the way to. Maybe that's the way to approach it. I don't know, but you'd hope that 10 years in you'd learn your lessons and not be immature anymore. Unreal. All right, that's all for tonight. I'll be back on Tuesday for the game against the Bruins. Pre-game show here on the channel, as well as post-game, breaking down everything that happened. Hopefully better result. Or at least bare minimum a better process, because this is just tough. All right. Thanks for watching. See everyone here on Tuesday. Keep believing, I guess. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to subscribe here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.